In late May, workers' representatives of striking establishments gathered in the amount of about 100 people in Yekaterinhov Park, where they worked out their requirements together and handed them over to the union. The first proclamation of the union what workers of the St. Petersburg spinning and weaving workers require was issued on May 30th. I quote it here. What the workers of St. Petersburg paper spinning and weaving require. 1. We want our working day to last from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., instead of the current from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 2. So that lunchtime lasts 1.5 hours and, thus, the whole working day lasts 102 hours, instead of 13 hours. 3. That the rates were increased so that our earnings would not decrease. 4. To come on Saturdays everywhere at the same time at 2 o'clock. 5. So that the owners do not arbitrarily stop the cars and do not let them go ahead of time. 6. So that the earnings for the first half of the month are issued correctly and on time, and not delayed. 7. That was paid in full for the coronation days. The struggle for the liberation of the working class. May 30th, 1896. A day later a new leaflet was released, to workers of all Petersburg paper spinning. We suffered for a long time, the workers of the St. Petersburg paper spinning industry, and, finally, could not stand it. Unbearable, we began to work more and more to the point of exhaustion of our strengths, to take down the owners' niggles, to see how we were being cheated and wait every day, how they reduced prices almost every 6 months. And in recent days, the greed of the hosts has manifested itself more than ever. It is a pity to our rich even those pennies that were due to us during the coronation days, they did not want to give a good rest from work either, such, they say, this cattle that does not particularly need rest. Enough. We said to ourselves then. Quite we silently and meekly obeyed our hosts. For a long time we expected them to improve our situation, but did not wait. And we decided to achieve everything ourselves. They do not want to give in, we will demand. And we need to demand first of all, 1. That the working day lasted from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. with an hour and a half lunch break, i.e. only 10-12 hours, so that on Saturday everywhere we Shabbat at 2 o'clock. 2. That the rates were increased so that the earnings did not particularly decrease. 3. That all unjust, unlawful pressures be destroyed and that it be paid for coronation days. We will calmly wait until the owners agree to our demands. They will not yield in a week, we will wait for the second, do not give up on the second, wait for the third, disagree and then, we will still wait. Enough with them will be our hard labor for 10-12 hours. Enough they have come from us already. Comrades, let us remember that the eyes of the workers of the whole world are now turned on us. They enthusiastically welcome fighters for the working cause in us. Petersburg workers do their best to come to our aid, arranging workshops in our favor for workshops. We will also show that the working people are able to achieve the fulfillment of their requirements. We will act in harmony and peace, without violence, and victory will probably remain with us. The struggle for the liberation of the working class. June 1, 1896 for strikes at Obvodnoye and behind Narvek and Nevskaya outposts. The strike spread in early June to the Vyborg and St. Petersburg sides, manufactories, Samsonevskaya, Novaya Samsonevskaya, Okhtenskaya, Bek, Nevka, and captured Vasilyevsky Island, Voronin, Ekskoka, Shukar Sugar Factory. Some small establishments joined. There were unrest at the Russian-American rubber manufactory, at the Putilovsky and Baltic factories, at the Vargin and stationery. Workshops and gatherings took place continuously. The hottest happened in early June at the Volkov Cemetery. Conscious workers wanted to better clarify the political significance of this unprecedented strike. Thanks to the persecution of detectives and the police, the meeting did not last very long. For the same reason there were only about 100 workers. Many, including the intellectual the representative of the union, did not get on time, thanks to the persecution of detectives. Then many workers came, but it was too late. Nevertheless, this meeting was wonderful in spirit. There was expressed the deepest indignation of the workers on the attitude of the government towards the working class and its needs. In addition to the general leaflets with the requirements of all striking factories, the union issued leaflet after leaflet to the workers of individual factories, on the basis of collected information about the private abuses and breakdowns of one or another factory. Each such leaflet outlined the general state of affairs and the state of affairs in this factory. Workers were invited to stand together, and then the private demands of the workers of this particular factory joined in with the general requirements of all strikers. Sometimes the workers themselves made a leaflet and asked him to print and publish on behalf of the union. There were cases that manuscript leaves were launched and walked with great success. Besides the above appeal, I'd also note a leaflet Pudilowski Brothers Workers and Council. The last leaf is very peculiar. It was written with grammatical errors by a rather grey worker, who had stood aside from circles and organizations until that time. I bring it here because it can give an idea of the mood of workers who are beginning to recognize their position. To the gentlemen of the workers of the St. Petersburg factories. Tip. The strike we started to improve our situation begins to hesitate and at the same time has an advantage in our favor, but, unfortunately, many lose heart and give in to work on the same grounds. Gentlemen, workers. Please don't give yourself a laugh, don't give up a single one until you establish the rules we require. The business you started is very important. About this case, i.e. about the improvement of our situation, people who we should thank a lot were busy. But here is stupidity, which is clearly reflected in the working people. Instead of gratitude, we pay with evil, which we ourselves do not notice. We drown them, issue them with our thoughtless exclamations. Many for us suffer forever in hard labor, but we do not notice this, and do not value our zealots. But nurse, brothers, in one spirit, and we will steadfastly fight for the improvement of our situation. We ourselves will stand with our breasts to help our zealots. Note that the working class of the other powers is happy for us as soon as they hear that the Russians are insisting on improving their situation. Of course, you will find it strange that foreigners are so influential. I should explain to you, but this explanation will take a lot of time, but you yourself will accept it when you resort to education. Gentlemen, working comrades, pay attention to your outlook on your life. If you had to meet a foreigner, on an equal footing, you will immediately admit that you are against their savages. They were also oppressed by their masters, but thanks to their sharp concept, they improved their position long ago. In our opinion, during rest hours, they don't wallow in the mud, in torn clothes near taverns and taverns, they don't swear and often beat their comrades like a Russian man, but they get together and talk about improvement, or they'd like to have fun. He rides a bicycle and rides, and at the same time develops his muscular strength. So we will, brothers, help each other in the continuation of the strike. Whoever has it, we will try to give a neighbor whose whole family is suffering from hunger. He will take on your 30 kopecks. Bread and feed for several days. What to do? We must tolerate, but we will improve the situation.